Hey, Dan Larsson here, welcome to the freshest episode of Letsynthesize. In this video I would like to show you a little bit what I made for this remix I started working on like a few months ago, and I pretty much stuck with it, but I think you might like it, especially the bass what I used here in the intro and well in the drop too, but it is faded away, faded in the background. Anyway, let me show you this little snippet here first, okay?
Worst is over. The monsters in my head are scared of love. Falling people, listen up. It's never too late to change your life. So don't let them steal your life.
Drop fill comes here. Okay, so this is the kind of remix stuff. And the drop is, I don't know, to be honest, I like it. I know it's not that trappy hard what you would expect from this remix, but I like it because it's different, and I'm not sure I will ever finish it. Anyway, so here is the bass what I'm talking about. Pretty interesting sound, and I resampled the bass because of the modulation was kind of out of control or something, so it was easier to fix all the things here in audio. So the main bass is coming from operator, yeah, and it contains two layers. There is a top layer and the bottom layer. And the patch itself is pretty simple. Let me show you. We have this box kind of routing here, which means that we have two oscillators going out from operator A and C, and A is modulated by B and C is modulated by D. We have, well, as I can see, only sine and one sine, and the rest of them are, what are these? Rectangular square waves. Sorry. Anyway, so the first one, the first group of oscillators, which is A and B together, is a square wave modulated by a sine wave. The first one is on course 1, the second one is the modulator is on course 2, and it contains just a very slight modulation on the frequency modulator. So the second one, the C, is a sine and modulated by a square, so they are in different or in opposite settings basically. And it is fully driven. I mean, the sine wave is fully modulated with a square wave. And the first one, oscillator C, is on course 4 and the modulator is on course 6. So this will give some more high end to the sound and more crunchiness basically. And what I did here is applied, what is this, low pass filter, because otherwise it would sound a little muddy, and I just don't like all these tops basically. And this layer should work as a low bottom layer, so we don't need those highs really. And I also used an LFO just to make a little, I don't know, more interesting sound, you know, a little modulation on the pitch. Not much, and you barely hear it, but it's there. Okay, so after that I applied an EQ cut at around 200 Hz to get rid of those boomy sounds, boomy frequencies, as you can still see here and hear it basically, but it's just fine. And the magic is done by Serum FX, like always, because this is the main sound, and Serum FX gives that great, really nasty, metallic kind of rusty kind of sound, and it is coming, and it is because of the comp filter. So I applied the comp filter and I modulated it with an LFO on LFO 1, like, well, not too much. Just a little, and an OTT brings out all these frequencies what the comp filters generate. And because of that, OTT, this multiband compressor OTT just, generates lots of highs. I had to take care of that too, so I used a low pass filter on the EQ, as you can see here. I modulated it using the same LFO, because this is the sound what we get without the EQ modulation. So I had to apply a low pass filter to make it wobble, but it's definitely a lot more interesting than without the Serum FX. It's just a boring kind of sound, but this way it is pretty interesting for me. So this was the bottom layer basically, and I just didn't find it interesting enough without the top layers. Let me show you only with the bottom layer.
Worst is over. The monsters in my head.
So it's cool, but I missed something. This was the first version of this remix, or of this bass sound, so I just wanted to have a different layer, some kind of, I don't know, some kind of characteristic texture to the sound, to the bass. And this is why I made this top layer. It's again a very simple sound, but altogether I think they sound pretty well. Okay, so let's jump into this layer, the top layer. It is an operator again, and this time I used this routing, which means we have ABC going out from operator, and I modulate them, all these ABC operators, with operator D. So I have one modulator oscillator, and I modulate with that 3 other oscillators, and all of them are square waves with different phases. This way we can get a really nasty, kind of washed out sound. And the modulator itself only is on course 8, and the rest of the operators are only on course 1, and everything is the same, so only the phase is pushed away in the operators. And I, of course, applied again a low pass filter. Because we don't want that too much highs, and an LFO again to make the sound a little more automated, not automated, but just more modulation to make the sound not very static. You always want to modulate. It is very important if you want to make interesting sound that you apply lots of modulation to the sound. This is why everybody loves Serum and basically Massive, because the oscillators are not static sounds but wavetables, so they can be transformed and morphed and stuff. So this is very interesting and very important, and an LFO just give you a really cool result for that. This is why I applied not too much again, but a little amount of pitch envelope to it. So this is all here in the operator, not much, and I cut out the lows because we don't want that now. It must work only as a top layer, and again Serum FX gives a very cool result for that again. This is the pure sound, and Serum FX brings out all those cool highs. So I applied a hyper, just to wash out all the things, add voices, and make it not a kind of bass character, but some sort of synth character to it. And this is why I applied a hyper, and of course because of the stereo field, a little distortion. It doesn't give too much. Barely audible. And the chorus, to add a lot more voices. An all bass filter, this will wash out all the things again. Makes the sound a little more noisy. And this was our goal, basically. And an OTT, like always, this will bring out the highs. And again, an EQ with modulated LFO, so modulated on the low pass filter. So this time we make it wobble again. Okay, and one more important thing is I have this little rack here where I applied 3 choruses. I know it's crazy, but this is again, I wanted to make the sound washed out, not bass corrector, but synth corrector to it. Maybe it is a little too quiet. To be honest, I use it a lot. So when I want to make interesting textures as layers, I use this rack, triple chorus. This is how I named it. And I just, applied 3 different instances of choruses. And I use different rates and different amounts of, the modulation of the chorus voices. And it gives us some really cool tone to it. Okay, after that, a multi-band compressor preset comes, which is here in audio effects. Multi-band compression, dynamics, and this stuff here. It's just a preset, and I just only pushed up the output. I EQ'd it a little. Oh, sorry, but this time we are EQing the both sound, both layers, so all together. A little more cuts on the highs and on the middle basses. And I have another rack here, which is called 3-band split, which is a kind of neuro sort of process to it. Doesn't give too much. But with this I take care of the lows. So let's see, we have 3 layers. On the top we have nothing, on the middle we have nothing, and on the bottom I have this utility tool here, what you can find here in the audio effects group. And I just pulled back the width to 0. So this way from, bottom split from around 158 Hertz, everything becomes mono. So this is very important if you want clean mixes. And this is the purpose only of this rack, this 3-band split named rack. And the limiter at the end of the chain, of course, like always. And because of the modulation, this Serum FX gives, the modulation, the wobbling comes a little out of sync or something. So if you listen to it with the beat, it's a little out of beat, and I just didn't have luck to fix it. It was really, really hard to. I don't know, I just couldn't do it. So this is why I resampled the whole bass for sequence, basically, yeah. And just fix it in audio. It was a lot easier to just, pull it back, everything. And this is why I'm using an audio version of the same bass. Okay, one more interesting thing I want to show you is the snare itself. It's it's kind of silly snare, but I very like it, especially because the story behind of it is very interesting for me. And when I showed it to my wife, she we live in an ordinary marriage, so she laughed really hard. And this was because when I sit on the toilet, there is a pipe in the toilet, for the heating, and I just start hitting it with my hands, and I recorded this sound with my phone. I recorded it, and just drop it into live. Let me show you. It is transposed up 1 octave, and I applied some effects to it to bring up all the sound, all those frequencies to make it really into the face. So because without it sounds dull. So this is the pure sound what I recorded. Yeah, I just cut out all the rest of the sound because I had several takes. So this was the original sound. I just hit that pipe with my hand, with my bones basically in my hand. So I transpose it up 1 octave and apply several effects, like a gate for it first, because I didn't want that huge release. And an EQ to boost out all the highs. A Dimension Expander X4 plugin with the rooster, pretty silly, but it works. Transition Master to bring up all those transients. A reverb, because we want reverb on the snare. Kind of low-fi snare, kind of low-fi reverb, but I really like it. It works really well in this snare. And the saturated. So let me see how it looks when we resample it, because I love to see what I do with the sounds. I just don't want to only hear it. I just want and love to see it too. So this is what all the effects does to sound. What I recorded on the toilet. A real sound designer never stopped thinking about, even he's only on the toilet. So I kind of like it. I just made a sound. I made a snare for this pretty just. What is it? Where is it? How cool is that? So I think I like this remix, this WIP remix, but I'm a little unsure if it works, especially the drop. The intro part is cool, I think, but the drop I'm not really sure about. So if you have your ideas or if you have thoughts about this, just drop it in the comment section. I really love to hear your voice. Or if you like it, drop a thumbs up, share my videos, and subscribe if you haven't done that before. I was Dan Larson, and maybe in the next videos we can go further and, well, we can check different sounds. For example, this main lead in the drop. So if you're interested, just drop a comment and I will read it. I swear. And see you in the next videos, guys. Bye bye.